All right. I want to say I put my last show on private because I produced a lazy, misguided product. I had a brain poop, and so I'm a bit ashamed of myself. And asking JP, I'm doing a show. Just out there, just saying I'm doing a show right now. Come join you, Mongoloid. Jeez, why would I say something like that? Just to be a moron. But it is what it is. For whatever reason, I said Chauvin was found not guilty, and it was might have been thinking of the O.J. Simpson trial. Just a real brain buffoonery that I did, and that happens. Really, that happens. At least for me, is something that I shouldn't do, mistakes that I shouldn't make. Kind of ashamed of myself, and kind of egocentric in a way. Oh, I see Joey here. Welcome to the stream.
Hello.
Hey, man. How's it going out there?
So far, it's been an interesting day, an interesting week, an interesting year, and it's been an interesting decade.
Well, you know what? I have been doing a Stoic Calm show every day since I believe mid-March, and I just want to kind of keep that tradition going. If someone joins me, great. If they don't, that's fine as well.
Yes. Well, good on you. I'm anything but stoic. I'm actually very proud today. I'm proud of myself. I did something very brave and bold for myself, and it just goes to show you the more time people put into themselves during these weird, censored, I don't know what else. I mean, just dogmatic days. It's one of my favorite words. I should probably look it up and make sure I'm using it right. But it just seems like there is dogma everywhere. And I've said it for a while, but sometimes I'll say things that kind of make sense, and then I don't do it. I don't execute on it myself. So I try not to be that way, but I do practice this, and that is during these times is it probably the best time ever in my adult life to kind of take time to focus on myself and figure out what I really want out of life. That that for some reason, and I can't explain it. Maybe there's like this undercurrent of confidence that I shouldn't have, but I have, and I've used that to my benefit, and I feel like I've made some really nice breakthroughs, and um, and it's all for the betterment of myself and everyone around me. I think everybody benefits from people who really invest in themselves and really take a hard look at themselves. And it's sometimes it's dark, it's scary, and it's not fun to do. But this is not a time to carry on moving forward with tons of baggage. Dump the baggage now while you have the opportunity. What do you think of that?
You know, it's been said the past is dead and the future is imaginary. So, yeah, any baggage that you have, really, yeah, just dump it. Whether if you're going to pay for it, you're going to pay for it. What you've done, and the punishment is either going to be just or unjust, but you will meet the day with all of with all of your faculties, or you can meet it going insane. It's going to happen to you sooner or later, so you might as well enjoy the ride while you have it. This is a time of you know fanaticism on many ends and conspiracy theories, and you can either wallow in it and believe in some of it yourself, or you can kind of enjoy it and maybe make some art out of it. That's what I like to do. Maybe, like I said, think of different conspiracy theories you can put in a story and just have fun with it. And if people don't like it, well, hey, they don't have to. They don't like what I say. They don't like me. Hey, it's unfortunate, but should I change? Should I be a fake and less of my authentic self with other people? I don't want to do that. I don't want anyone else to do that too. I don't want anyone. I thought about it. It's always nice when you get agreement, but you really want agreement where it's authentic. And there are things I'm not going to agree to something just because to go along with the crowd. I just it's inauthentic and it's not real. I would, I mean, there are certain family members and friends that if I would just go along and believe what they believe, I would get along better with them. But I can't do that. I have to be me. I have to be who I am. And I have to I have to believe in it. And if I don't believe in something and I think something is untrue, I'm going to say it. And you know what? If they can't prove me wrong, or they can't prove me wrong in my mind and in my head, then that's the way it's got to be. And I may get punished for it, because today, if you don't go along with the crowd, if you don't go along with certain groupthink, you're going to get punished. But it's not. These people don't want. They don't want an authentic human being, and that's what I want out of people. There are all kinds of people out there who have kooky, what are considered kooky and crazy beliefs, and that's what makes the world go round. Bring on the Andy Bongs and the rest of the people. I mean, that's what makes the world great. It's not everyone thinking alike and thinking the same way. And that's what people want you to do. Is like right now, people want us all to conform. I'm not interested in conformity. I'm interested in reality, and reality is not conformity. I don't know what you think about that.
Absolutely, absolutely in agreement there. People often get confused with things like words like original or authentic, um, genuine. These things like throw people off. They're definitely words to think about and consider, and look at their uses in things like biology. And I mean, I know it's kind of out there, but these words are used in law. They're used in real science, but they're not really taught very well, I noticed. So, unfortunately, a lot of these things you got to go in and learn them yourself.
I was thinking, you know, how can one really be authentic if they're afraid to offend? If someone's super sensitive, and it's one thing if
I mean, it's always challenging to be an original because being an original or being your true self in the present moment, in the now, I think that scares people at this point. It's almost as if people are frightened that are they dealing with a loose cannon here of some kind. I I mean, that's what I've been met with. I don't like feeling that way, but I have felt that way just by the mere expression of some of my points of views. It's as if these people's heads are going to explode when they hear it, rather than digest and to really get understanding or ask more questions or do their own research. Even more importantly, they'd rather sit there, cringe, make cringe faces, and put their heads between their legs and pretend they didn't hear it. That's what censorship is. So, that's where we're at. It's disgusting. It's horrible. It's I'm gonna fight that to the very end.
I'm certainly on board. We have political Woodstock, and we might just invite her in. She might want to come on in and
She's
discuss it.
she is impaired. Um, she's had she's had about 3 liters of gin today. So, but yeah, bring her in at your own risk.
Bring her in. Yeah, I'm taking the risk. I'm bringing her in, and if she wants to come in, she is certainly welcome to come on into the layer
That's
of
right.
thought, open mind. But you know, I guess with things like cancel culture and things of that nature, we really are we're losing a sense of authenticity because we're trying to search for the right words to say and the right things to deal with and stuff. And it's kind of it's really unfortunate what's become of our society and what's become of the art world. The art world used to push boundaries and push limits, and now it's afraid, and it's all one kind of groupthink to a degree. All the things you can't say and do anymore, and it's just gotten progressively worse over the years.
Well, that's what all of this is, the narrative that's online. There's a reason why some of my ideas, for example, or yours, don't get accepted. Is you got to look at the groupthink that's going on. There's like a tier system almost. You got the Joe Rogan think group, and they're aggressive, and I don't agree with most of their takes. I agree with very few of them, in fact. Um, and but they are super aggressive about getting their points across, and they're a constituency, you better believe. And then there are, and I'm just talking about kind of like online world. Then you got all those other kind of dorks that you like to get into. I don't even know their names, but they're terrible. They're horrible, fear mongering low lifes. These guys that have maybe a million subs on YouTube and are carrying our millions for all I know, and they're carrying on and on with these mainstream narratives and adding no solution or merit to the game. These people could all get crushed like ants in my world.
Yeah, I mean, these individuals are just not. Yeah, I mean, again, but what can you do? I mean, and I've been told several times that you can't stand up to them. They're too powerful. They have metastasized themselves into the establishment, and if you go against them, they will find several ways to try to destroy you and do you harm. And people want their jobs. Uh, they want all their creature comforts, and you can by cancel culture and the like, they can basically uh, completely shut you out of the economy. They can. and of course, shun you from having any friends and stuff. I don't know why people buy it, but a lot of people are afraid to take a stand because they're afraid of being economically ruined by these individuals. And I think that I, I, part of me thinks, well, is it best to fight fire with fire? And I think we're gonna. I think people who think differently are gonna have to form their own banks, form their own technology, away from different groups who want to cancel them. Because I want to be around authentic people and real people, and not zombies. It's like you have to be the pod person, and those who are afraid of the pod people.
So you mentioned a good word, creature comforts. Where'd you come up with that one?
Charles Manson. You know what? It reminds me of when Charles Manson said, "I can survive out in the desert and stuff, and I don't need all my creature comforts." Even though I think Charles Manson was a complete scumbag. Uh,
Now,
I
now, when you hear the word creature, what's the definition for you of creature?
It can mean many things. I think just living being, um, and you know, it could. I think creature could mean human being.
Yeah,
I'm a creature, but
absolutely. Yes.
creature can
Or
mean
any
anything.
humans. So
It can,
it's an
you know,
interesting concept.
creature can mean. I think creature can mean just about any kind of living thing. And yeah, I mean, and I don't know if we're ever going to get to a shared reality in this world and in this nation. Uh, and
But
it
do we
just,
need to have a shared? I mean, that sounds to me like communism, anyways. Why do you need a shared reality?
um,
Aren't you not taking responsibility for yourself when you say that? It's self-defeating, is what I'm saying.
a shared reality in the point of we should all be able to voice our opinion and not be punished for it.
But some people disagree with that. What's wrong with that? What's wrong with disagreeing with that idea? So even by knowing what you're saying, it's still it's you understand the logic, right? I mean, it's self-defeating again. Everyone shouldn't have to feel or agree with that concept, or for that matter, even have the ability to do so. Even though I think they should too, but I can understand the counterpoints to these.
Well,
Politically awesome is here with us, by
yes,
the and
Hello.
yes. Politically awesome. Do you have a comment on anything that has been said uh, as of now, or any insights or any news or anything like that? Share with us.
Excuse me. Well, I'm getting over COVID and I'm winning. Um, that sounds so defeatist. Um, when you're talking about cancel culture or censorship, I think that's been going on since the 50s and has been getting progressively worse. If we look back, the fairness doctrine that was dismantled by President Reagan. Um, I don't know how we turned the clock backwards to where there was fair reporting and people maybe were leery of being censored, but not to the extent that they are today. What do you think of the fairness doctrine, and do you think it'll ever come back?
You know what I mean? To the degree of the fair, I mean the fairness doctrine in Section 230 seem a little bit different in scope, just due to the fact that social media allows for a much larger platform And because from my understanding, the fairness doctrine was about radio and maybe even about news, that it had to hear both sides.
JP, we can hear you.
Excuse me. Sorry. Yes. My bad.
Okay, but the fairness doctrine was about radio, and there was like only so many radio.
It was about journalism. It expanded all the like newspaper, radio, and then the public news.
You know what I mean? Part of me would perhaps like a fairness doctrine. I mean, I don't know. Like, to me, Section 230 needs to be repealed to say there has to be. These social media companies can either be a platform or they can be a publisher. But if they're going to be a publisher, then they're going to have to. If they're going to be a platform, then they cannot act as a publisher. And there is freedom of. Yeah, go ahead.
I want to interrupt for a minute, if you don't mind.
Okay.
For people that do not know what Rule 230 is, could you briefly explain it to them? Because I know you're getting new listeners.
Well, let me take a look. Section 230. Let me just. Oops. Section 8. Let's go here.
By the way, I'm so glad Howard is not here tonight. That was almost too much. While you're looking for a good explanation of Rule 230. And I'm very happy about the verdict because I think it brought peace. And the only thing I don't understand about Minnesota is how they can say guilty on 3 different charges that are essentially the same thing. How do they sentence in that way? Let me know when you got your.
Yeah, I got it.
So okay, I'll be quiet.
Section 30 is a piece of internet legislation passed into law, and it's the Communications Decency Act. And it basically says that the social, that internet companies and stuff cannot be sued, like social media companies cannot be sued because they are a platform. Now, the people who post things on there can be sued. But what they're doing is they're editorializing, and they're deciding what information is to be
what
seen.
Year? What was that, 2018? Because I remember there was a big hearing in Washington, D.C., and I begged people to listen to it because it had to do with they can censor your butt more now. Is this the they can censor your butt more now legislation that I threw a fit about?
I guess, and we'll do a whole thing on Section 230, but
I think that would be great.
There was a section in the wake of 2019, the Christ church shootings, the impact of Section 230, the liability towards online hate speech, has been raised in both the Christ Church and El Paso shooting. So there's a lot of things on hate speech, which is really, to me, kind of the new heresy, and hate speech only goes in one direction. 2020 Department of Justice review. In February 2020, the United States held a related Section 230 as part of an ongoing into big tech. Attorney General William Barr said that while Section 230 was needed to protect the internet's growth, most companies were not stable. No longer are technology companies the underdog upstarts. They have become the titans of the U.S. industry. And the question, the need for 230 broad protection, Barr said, the workshop was not meant to make policy decisions on 230, but part of a holistic review related to big tech, since all of the concerns raised about online platforms squarely fall within the antitrust. And there seems to be like the three big social media platforms. Well, actually, I don't know if it's four, but Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and Google. They seem to have a monopoly, and they seem to crush any upstart, and along with Amazon and Apple as well, seem to crush any opposition. And I gotta say that they seem to be abusing a lot of things, and they are affecting policy and cancel culture. In a lot of these left-wing organizations, they came out of social media. They became popular on social media. And any groups that tried to oppose them, social media played politics, and they shut down the groups that opposed BLM or that opposed Antifa and some other far left groups as well. And there have been plenty of people that have been shut down on YouTube and on Twitter and on Facebook.
It's true. And you don't hear of upstarts. I'm sorry for interrupting, but I wanted to jump in. Cancel culture denies the right of due process, where most people would have due process in the media, and that's been taken away from these.
These media.
I don't know if they think they're God, but it's not right. It's not right to have all this cancel culture. It's a group mind think where they believe they can publicly lynch someone in the media. That is what happens. And we have these young people that kill themselves. Sometimes they're older. With 230, and it just seems all meshed together. Don't you agree?
Well, yeah, I agree that the cancel culture mobs seem to have been started. They've been started online, and they've been promoted online by these companies, and they seem to be in the bag for them, and it's just really kind of unfortunate.
Well, how do we get rid of 230? I knew a little bit about it and sprinklings here and there. I remember that summer it was a federal committee hearing that alarmed me so much. And I remember talking to the two of you about it. I said, you really need to keep an eye on this. This is going to be a game changer. But my goodness, how do we dismantle 230? Because I think Biden could be tricked into getting rid of Rule 230. I think we might have a friend in him. Maybe. What do you think?
I'm not sure. I mean, can you repeat what you think might happen again, or can you say what you can you repeat that again?
Can you rephrase what you just said?
Why is it mush? Hold on, I gotta take a sip of water.
News. What's up, Willie?
Willie, my enemy.
Oh, Willie.
Willie. By the way, Willie.
I miss you, Willie.
Willie, please, no more racial epithets or anything like that.
Hey, it's his free speech.
No.
But it is his show, Willie. Willie, it is his show. So he's asking nicely. I am going back to that place this weekend. I've decided to go back.
Good. But again, and Willie thinks that I'm wasting my time.
Why?
You are.
Willie, why?
And I have never said a racial epithet.
Okay, that's fine. But oh, Willie.
I was just wanting to listen. I had a question for JP, but before I get to my question, I want to point out one thing on you, MMM.
Yes.
Here's your failure.
Okay.
I'm kidding.
All right, that's another one of them. Sound effects.
Go ahead. Move on with it.
All right.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I would like to go on to my question, JP. Then I will not speak to you, goddamn idiot. JP,
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
did you happen to send any sort of letter to?
I'm sorry, Willie. Hold on. You guys, seriously, stop laughing.
Come on now, Brian.
Okay, stop it. Go ahead.
I wanted to talk about science, but it's been derailed. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Bathtub Girl. You deserve better than this.
We're good. We're good. Let's move on to science.
We were speaking about the monkey dactyl last night, right?
Yeah, I remember that.
All right. Well,
I missed it.
Oh, you haven't heard about the monkey dactyl?
No.
It was like a triceratops, but he was Fonzie because he had a thumb and he was always giving thumbs up. But anyway, did you happen to send off any sort of letter that would compromise your employment, sir, in drunken states?
I waited till the morning and it was Gem, so I sent it off.
Ooh.
Yes.
Well, anyway, I did want to have a normal discussion, but obviously MMM is one of his moods probably has to do with sugar levels or some shit like that. So I'll catch you later. I'm going to go look at my barbecue.
Why don't you stay? Stay.
Things are.
If it was just you and me, I would.
Things are about to get.
Oh, I like that.
Thank you, Willie.
Well, that was fun.
That was fun. I'm glad he's gone.
Yeah, son of a bitch.
He behaved himself.
I'm kidding. I'm not upset with him. I was just, you know what?
I don't think you were.
I felt like being funny.
Yes.
And I felt like laughing because it's good to laugh.
I loved your laugh. It was great.
Thank you. It's good to laugh. You know, sometimes I don't want to get that serious. Life is about monkeys. When he was talking about monkeys.
Sorry, Bunny.
When he was talking about monkeys, it's like, come on. Yes. So
he was referring to a letter that I wrote last night at 3 a.m. And I'm gonna send it off this morning. And he was really smart actually by telling me, he's like, you know something, when you wake up in the morning, don't send it. Wake up in the morning and review it and then send it. So you know, good advice. And I did, but it was a good letter, and so I sent it off. You know, this is
JP. I got a question. If you're going to write a piece on cancel culture, what angle might you take? Because I'm struggling with doing one.
I would take it from the angle that it's all a made-up construct. Prove me wrong. That's exactly what.
Wait a minute. It's a real thing. Cancel culture exists. We see the effects of it.
Very contrived. I didn't say it was fake. It's
okay.
It's something that's there. It exists, but how did it get to be in existence? And I think that is where the tomfoolery comes from. That's what needs to be looked at. The origination. I would go to the very first use, if you can find it, the very first use of the word, and learn from there why that person, what was the motive for that group or that individual to push that word, that phrase out there and make it catch fire, because it's going to be divisive. I mean, that's the whole point of that, right? Cancel. It's all about division, divide and conquer. So we're already in a divided state with all this other stuff going on in the world. You know, this has been around for a few years, I think, right, Brian? Cancel culture. How long has this been a thing? Oh, he went to the bathroom probably.
Maybe like McCarthy, even that was cancel culture in a different atmosphere.
Well, no, I was tweeting the show out, and
Yeah, of course you're not listening to the damn
I
show.
was listening to everything, Joey, and
Then go ahead.
you know what? It is a real thing. And what are you going to do about it right now? Hey, man, I'm here, Joey. I'm here to laugh when it's funny.
Attention, though. I said, when did cancel culture come to existence? How long ago?
That is a good. You know what?
What happened? He wasn't listening.
You're
He
probably
was listening some. Give him a break.
All right, he was. He listens more than 99.9% of everybody in the rest of the world.
there. We go. I think that cancel culture. I think it started in the mid 2000s, maybe with the Me Too movement, and it really it the you know it started online, and I mean the origins of it. Who knows how the hell it started?
But that's where, if I was going to talk about it, that's where, and I put time into researching it. That's what I would find, because everything else since then is meaningless to me. I want to know how, why, with any meme that blows up, and that's what this is. It's no different from like Doge coins or whatever it is right now. That's
Mhm.
it all starts from a meme, it seems, and so there's like this huge power in memes. So
That's true.
I would just get to the foundation, the roots
But
of meaning of it, and
what
that
about
way,
McCarthyism? Because if I'm going to think of cancel culture, people had their lives ruined by that. And part of my family helped with that. I have a lot of guilt about this.
you see, here's the best part about it. So once you find the origin and you understand the real meaning and power of that phrase of cancel culture, then the best part is you can go back as far back in history as you possibly can, and then see how this concept has already been in play for a long, long time. It's just now getting this new title that we've never heard of, but it's the same idea. It's not like this new concept that just popped out of the internet. These ideas are as old as humanity.
Good point. You're right. Absolutely.
Yeah, well, I mean, like I said, we've had the church had its own kind of cancel culture. Different religions had shunning and things like that. And again, in this modern day age of this internet, this information age, it's turned into something different. And I don't think other countries. I think this is primarily in the West. I think it's primarily within the Anglo sphere where this kind of thing is, and this dog rabid belief on hate speech. I think some of it enters into different parts of the culture, but it's complete nonsense, in my opinion. And again, it makes people less authentic and less real. And that's the real that for
Like
me.
Michael Jackson. Are you talking about not real like Michael Jackson? And, they tried to cancel him, and maybe he was guilty and maybe he wasn't. The thing is that we'll never find that out, or back then we could never find that out because of all the cancel culture surrounding him.
You know, there
I
is a
don't know.
there is a part of me, all the movies that they've canceled, and uh, you know, like I said, for a while, the first movies showed a
Rest in peace. Gone with the Wind. Rest in peace. I'm
yeah,
really upset about how they messed with Gone with the Wind. I have an old movie of it, and I'm holding on to that baby.
yeah. Well, I'll tell you this. Uh, but a lot of our culture and stuff is something that I guess we should be ashamed of, and feel ashamed when it is.
Whoa, you stop that right now.
Well, there's a belief. And by the way, Stoic Calm is what I strive for. The other guests don't necessarily strive for, including my partner Joe. He is not a. I don't think he's ever claimed to be a Stoic.
I am not a Stoic. I'm more of a spaz.
Yes, he is a spaz, and I
And
don't
I bring the truth.
know. Angela, you bring great entertainment, regardless of whether it's a truth or a lie. I mean, I don't say you bring lies, but
I
regardless,
can't believe you said such a thing. Oh my gosh.
no.
A lie? Me?
Well, you do bring. I remember the Bathtub Chronicles were amazing.
Oh man. Okay, go ahead.
I'm not going to bring up, but
No,
here's
go ahead. It's funny. It's funny.
it was hysterical. Joe and I laughed hysterically, but I just want to add that the things of our culture, the things that we used to find kind of entertaining, I guess to a degree, we have a lot of people. They want to shame that. Now, I'm not saying that we look back on shame, but they do. They do want to shame. A lot of the movies that we used to watch, the plays that we used to watch, and you go back to the people will write lyrics in a song, and they'll say these lyrics, portions of these lyrics can only be spoken by one group. If there are rappers that use the N word, and
Mm-hmm.
and you're not, and people of European descent, particularly if they're in America, are not allowed to say that. They're not allowed to. They're not allowed to sing those words. They're not allowed to say those words. There's
I got a question. When it comes to music with a certain word in it, they
Yeah.
don't want us to say it, but they want us to buy it. And I take high offense to that. You want me to buy that offensive word, but yet you won't let me say it after I bought it. Screw you. I mean, I'm really pissed at the entertainment industry. I mean,
Well,
where did they get off, Brian? Where? I want to know because I'm about to lose it. I'll mute myself.
all right. Well, I mean, there's the book Huck Finn. Can we read that out loud anymore?
In
Also,
my world, you can.
and also the book, the Steinbeck's book of Mice and Men. I mean, again, it was that's how they spoke in those times, and it was what it was. And again, there are is something just wrong for one group, or is it wrong for everybody? Where do we draw the moral line? I mean,
We go to Richard Pryor in his what was it called? It's when he wore the red outfit after he set himself on fire. He talked about going to the mother country and how he didn't say the N word at all because he didn't see any N's, and that he'll never call a man that word again. It was interesting. I was watching it on Showtime, so it's something to consider.
well, I'll say that it's either wrong for everybody, or it's not wrong. I mean, why is it? Is it? Do we have to carry the guilt of what our ancestors did? And again, there, I guess there are musically there are lyrics that we can't repeat the words that are said. But of course, you said before, they want us to buy those albums. They want us to listen to those albums. Of course, they want our money, but they don't want to embrace us. So why would you? I'm just curious to why anyone would celebrate somebody who doesn't embrace you. Why do I want
That's
to?
a good statement.
Why do I want to celebrate hip hop culture that doesn't embrace me?
We don't have to. And I think that's a good message to get out. You don't have to. Create your own music. Don't buy into the lie of the industry and the lie of the artist, because the artist, he's got to be thinking these people are fools, and white people, we have been fools. But to buy this music containing this word that we're not even supposed to say? I mean, are you freaking kidding me? I, I'll mute.
Yeah, I mean, again, I guess that's the kind of the way that I, to a degree, say it. I'm not as emotional about it. I really don't care. To me, there are hills that I'll die on. This isn't one of them. I go along with it, but I don't agree with it. And people who have those standards, they're really kind of hypocrites in my eyes, because particularly like you like saying it, you have it in your hip
But
hop.
Brian, what about Gone with the Wind? They get to keep the N word, but I don't get to keep my original Gone with the Wind. There is something wrong in the world today when they bastardize Gone with the Wind. I mean, where does it stop? I want to know.
Here's the deal. You can rent Gone with the Wind right now online. You can watch it. I don't know. You probably can. You know what? There are probably places that you can screen Gone with the Wind and show it. I mean, it is what it is. It had a view of slavery that wasn't very realistic, but there are a lot of films out there that aren't realistic at all. I mean, most films have some sort of fantasy nonsense element to it. And
You're going to touch Gone with the Wind. Really?
did I say I was going to touch Gone with the Wind?
Well, you just said it wasn't realistic. And this is one family's account, Margaret Mitchell's family's account of what they went through with the Civil War, the antebellum era. I don't know. I feel very personal to it because my family, they were, what do you call them, planters. I still had the names of the people that we owned. And that's a horrible thing. But it's real. And I don't think it should be whitewashed. Maybe that's a bad way to say it. And you can't get the original Gone with the Wind, say like on YouTube. You can't get it. It's altered forever. It upsets me.
My father worked on a thing called Real Life in Culver City. He's been a film buff, or my late father was a film fan and a film buff. And he actually had the original script, and the book does say the N word, but the film,
Yes, it does.
the film did not have the racial epithets in it that the book had. They said, "Hey, we're not going to do that." There is no, so they don't say that in the book. The book was, I mean, not in the book. They don't say that in the movie. The movie was
right.
So, and again, I think just about all films deal with a fantasy, unrealistic element to life. It's not, there are, because to keep a film going, to keep a film moving, they do things that are different. And
Creative license. I mean, I get that.
well,
But
yeah.
I don't like my Gone with the Wind being altered. I take great offense to that. I take great offense. It's like the Hays Code all over again. That is what bothers me because it feels like it's the Hays Code all over again.
You know what? The thing of it is, this isn't the first time of censorship, and it won't be the last. There have always been Puritans in the world that were afraid of ideas and were offended by stories. And this has gone on through time and memoriam. And at this point in time, it is my past and my opinions and my views are considered heresy. And we have a lot
Well,
of.
it just seems like you'd stand up for Gone with the Wind. Do you still have the script?
I don't think I do. But Angela,
Well, what happened to it?
I don't know.
JP, talk some sense into him.
Here's the deal with this. It's never been important to me, and it was a very large moneymaker. It's a very entertaining film.
Yes, it was. Really.
But
if you ever find it, I would be highly interested in at least seeing a picture of it, because now I'm starting to wonder if it ever existed in your life. Maybe you're making that part up. Knowing that would just get me all happy and everything, and then you just take it away. I mean,
right?
I'm gonna mute.
Very depressing times. Very depressing.
Angela, it's and I guess see that you might think that it's not a brag thing to me. That kind of script is around. I think there is still original copies of the original script with the N word in there. I'm certain you can find it. It's probably. I wish I had kept it because it would have.
Right. Yeah, you would have made me very, very happy just to see a picture of it. Maybe you still have it. Maybe.
I don't. You know what? That might have went to the archives. I mean, we were dealing with archives within the city, and again, that was never. I'm just going to be honest with you here. I was never that big of a fanatic. I like the film, but memorabilia of that time, for whatever reason, really didn't interest me the way my father did. I was actually interested more of my father's time when he was in the film industry in the 70s. I was always interested in the story of when he helped out with a documentary called Manson. And for me, the greatest age of cinema for me that was the most realistic and the most authentic was the late 1960s and early 70s, when they started to become real. And I haven't seen anything like it since. There are times when films are realistic and they have that authenticity of realism, but I don't see that today. Even films that try to be real, there's a level of political kind of chicanery. There's a level of dishonesty there that I observe, and that I don't like. But there was just a really sprinkle of time when films were authentically real, and they showed people's ugly, their beautiful side, but their also ugly side. And that was, to me, the most beautiful time for cinema. Joe, I don't know if you would agree with me on that or disagree, but that is just my opinion. That's just as music became kind of more authentic and earthy, the same thing with cinema. Joe, would you agree or disagree with that?
Yeah. I even liked the way films looked in the 70s better than in the late 60s, but there's some that in the late 60s are incredible. It's hard to say which is better, but I definitely enjoy the 70s movies.
Yeah, I do as well. And like I said, some of it went for shock value, but some of it was just, like it was real. It was raw and it was real. And
so produce the script.
Again,
I'm going to be stuck on this for a while.
Well, I don't think, again, there is a script out there, the original script. It was my father's project, not mine. I was not interested in it. I took a look at it, but it was never something that I was all.
I think I have it. I might have it at my house.
Joe might have it. And
Really?
the thing is, we do have quite a bit of. I think Joe still has Gone with the Wind memorabilia at the house. So we look.
Okay.
My dad made a thing called Real Life in Culver City. You can take a look at it online.
I have a lot
Well,
of
that would be cool.
You can see what my dad produced. He was, Gone with the Wind was really something that he was interested in because it was the biggest film that was shot in Culver City, and he shot.
He was a great man. Your dad was a great man.
Well.
Just because of this, he's great.
Well,
got a telegram from the underworld, and it's just a picture of Ross rolling over in his grave, laughing. It's redemption.
that might be the case, but again, it was something at the time. There were projects of his that I was interested in, but this was not one of them. I worked with him because he paid me.
You monster.
You know what? You know what? You probably would have loved my old man. I don't know. Were you in love with Gone with the Wind in the 90s?
In the 90s?
Yeah.
I had the 50th video. I had the 50th video anniversary set of Gone with the Wind. Yeah, my family was kind of a big fan.
Well, then you'd have loved my old man then, because he was into memorabilia. He was into Tom Mix, and he was into.
Oh yeah, I love Tom Mix.
Oh, yeah.
That is so cool. I've been to the theater that they have it in Oklahoma. It's amazing. Oh, the Martin Scorsese movie, Killers of the Flower Moon, is now shooting. I might be in it, so I'm very, very excited to be an extra in it.
Well, again, my father was into because he did it. He did a thing on on the beginning of the cinema because Culver City was the the heart
Right.
of land, and he basically from Hal Roach. He did the origins of Culver City. How basically Culver City, Culver was he was a real estate developer, and then cinema came along, and it really blossomed into a very large movie. MGM had over.
Now, what about Jesse James? Was he a fan of the James family?
You know what? My great grandmother was it my great grandmother met Jesse James, and she said they were gentlemen.
They definitely were. That's my paternal grandmother's family. My dad's buried next to some of the James family.
And my other great great grandmother met Abe Lincoln in Ohio.
No. Oh, no, that's amazing.
Yeah. And then my father shook hands with Kennedy the day before he was shot.
Well, I don't know if I would. That's a hard one.
What do you mean? Yeah. Well, he.
Well, maybe he had some bad juju, and that's why he got shot. I don't know.
What do you mean he had some bad juju? My dad?
Your daddy. Your daddy. In the South, we say daddy.
Well, he was in the Air Force, and he was at, I believe it was Lackland Air Force Base. And just before the day before he went to Dallas, he was I don't know, he was looking at the altitude, the Air Force Base down there. He was looking over things, and my dad was one of the guys who was there to kind of greet him. There actually is a film. I think it's about 9 hours long.
Really?
And actually, I've heard that there's a thing with my father in his Air Force uniform.
Oh, how cool!
Yeah, but that was a long time ago, and yeah, I mean, it is what it is. It's not. At the time, because I grew up hearing it, and my father was a big film buff, big film fan, loved John. I mean, he was enamored with John Ford. And, John Ford,
Was
in
amazing.
yeah, he was. And he was a person who basically told stories with pictures and didn't use words. And that if I ever became a filmmaker, I would use many of the same techniques. Certainly, certainly the kinds of films John Ford did, wouldn't necessarily play today with a lot of audiences, but it was still
Hmm.
unique to him. And
Well, why not do a show? Do a show on the techniques of John Ford as you knew them.
I
That
may,
would be cool.
they've been done before. I may, but again, if YouTube John Ford, they will that stuff already basically comes up. But
Well, you have this wonderful wealth of knowledge. You ought to share it. Just saying.
it's something that I may do. Um, you know,
JP.
You want to ask me? John Ford was John Ford was an insider. He had the playbook, and I think he used it to his advantage. And I think he was a very deceptive type of director. But yeah, we'll get into that. We'll do a show on that. I'd really like to.
and that certainly is an opinion on that. And again, but film itself is propaganda, and people come in with their beliefs and their ideals, and
Hmm.
it's being done today. I mean, you look at this, and I haven't seen the film, but Judas and the Black Messiah. Again, and I don't know much. Like I don't know much about Fred Hampton.
You see, that's easy to say now that you can look back on that period of filmmaking and say, "Oh yeah, that was propaganda." But back then, that really shaped the culture. So I take a lot of I have a lot of problems when I go back and look at that era of films. Very interesting. I always tell people to go back and look at Citizen Kane, often referred to as the best movie ever made, and go in with an open mind, with a critical mind, and take that movie apart. And it's absolutely nuts what they tell you right there in the film. So yeah, these movies all had a very serious agenda, and they were about real things going on in the world, but kind of given this kind of coding or um, just an interpretive look into how it's being executed. So very interesting to go back at that time, but it's also easy to say now, yeah, that stuff was just all propaganda. Can't write that off yet. We're still paying the dues on that.
Well, but film today is also propaganda. Like I said, this new Black Panther film and the one they did before that called Panther. Again, these people were not, I mean, again, the FBI wasn't saying, but neither were the Black Panthers. And when do we get into an earthy kind of real story about like sometimes there are no angels or devils. It's just human beings doing the best they can, doing what they believe that they think is correct. And it's just really a difficult situation. And people, always try to, people always try to sugarcoat their family and their stories and their origin stories to make it something that it perhaps is not. And there are very few times when you get realism and true, authentic storytelling. But that's very rare, and it's even rarer today. Anyway, guys, I think I'm going to end it here. Is there anything to add before I before I wrap this up, Angela?
I don't think I have anything to say. I'm still very sad about Gone with the Wind, and I'm being completely 100% real about that.
I think she's just mesmerized at our awesome critique of modern cinema. I get it.
Well, I
No,
think
that wasn't bad.
no. Well, again, I could say, you know what? I've obsessed over things. I don't think it's good that I do it. So I kind of learned myself I shouldn't obsess over things as well. And
Yes, you should.
no, no, you shouldn't.
Yes.
Once again,
Guys,
I'm going to get the old Brian back. You just wait.
no, I don't want to be that way. That's not my way. I would
Gone
rather,
with the Wind forever.
folks, I think I'm the only Stoic one here. And I want to tell you that sometimes you'll come across people that are obsessed, and that's okay. Because
Woohoo!
sometimes we all get a little obsessed, and Stoicism doesn't, I don't think, necessarily means that you can't laugh and be spontaneous and real. But you can think like, well, you know what? You don't have to take it personal. I mean, some people are have either a healthy or unhealthy obsession with certain topics, and that's okay. Anyway, this has been Brian with Transparency and Merit. Like and subscribe, and I hope this has been interesting and entertaining, and maybe even a lesson for you. Thank you for listening, and as always, be well.